I am a married mom of 3, and I am bisexual. This summer, I met somebody, and he said, I'm a little bit nervous about this. You know, in the back of his head, he's always wondered, well, what if the right girl comes along? You know, what's going to happen to us, you know, and our family and everything that we've spent 19 years creating.
Welcome to the Secret Life Podcast. Tell me your secret. I'll tell you mine. When I first started my recovery 11 years ago, I struggled through the textbook-like material on this subject. I wanted to make the addiction and the recovery from it accessible and relatable to more people by telling it in an entertaining way. Well, I'm super excited to announce I've released my first book, Secret Life of a Hollywood Sex and Love Addict. If I can help just one person find a solution or at least realize they're not broken or alone, then writing this has been worth it. You can pick up the book exclusively at Amazon or signed copy at secretlifenovel.com. And the best way to support our podcast is to subscribe and share. If you haven't left a review or rating on Apple Podcasts yet, please do. It'll help more people find our show. And if you want to be a guest, shoot me a note at secretlifepodcast@icloud.com. Enjoy the episode. Hi, welcome to Secret Life Podcast. I'm Brianne Davis-Gant. Today I'm pulling back the curtains of all kinds of human secrets. We'll hear about what people are hiding from themselves or others. You know those deep, dark secrets we probably want to go to our grave with? Or those lighter, funnier secrets that are just plain embarrassing? Really, the how, what, when, where, and why of it all. Today, my guest is Amy. Now, Amy, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun. What is your secret?
Well, my secret is, I've been lying to myself for a long time about this, and so I'm excited to finally get it out. But I am a married mom of 3, and I am bisexual.
Wow. Well, first of all, bravo for having 3 kids. I just have to say that. Because I have 1 and it is difficult.
It's pretty crazy. They're all boys, so it's a lot of chaos.
Yeah, mine's a boy too. So you're bisexual, which
I am.
I think it's great. I think it's great when we step into our truth.
Definitely.
Was it like dramatic? Like, how did you find out you were bisexual? Did you like look at something and go, oh, I find her attractive? Like, how did it work?
You know, I think I've known since high school, honestly, but if looking back, I honestly think my very first crush, I was 12 years old.
Okay.
You know, so I think I've known for a long time, but there was a kind of a mixture of both shame and I guess a not understanding. While I was growing up, you know, I grew up in a rural community in northern Utah. And even if I fully understood what was going on, it wasn't something that we talked about so much.
So did you know anybody that was gay or bisexual growing up?
You know, I did, but I didn't know it at the time. It's kind of funny, you know, coming 20 years after high school, a lot of people have come out, you know, and they've said, oh yeah, we've been this way too. But I think all of us kind of had the same idea of not talking about it and keeping it inside. So I knew a lot of people, but I didn't know it at the time.
Yeah, actually, now that you're I grew up in the South.
Okay.
So you're talking, I don't think I knew anybody that was gay and bisexual either.
Right.
Until
But now
maybe at the end of high school.
Exactly. I mean, there's so many people that I grew up with that have come out since then.
Yeah. So who were you attracted to at 12? Who was that first crush?
It was a friend of mine, and you know, I remember getting all fuzzy and wanting to give her little gifts and things like that, but never really understanding, you know, where it was coming from or where I was going with it, just knowing that I felt a little bit differently about her than I did my other friends.
Right. Did you feel different about her than you felt about like a boy in school?
Absolutely. Especially at that time, you know, when boys are kind of still gross.
Yeah, well, they still are.
Yeah, exactly.
Just kidding, guys. I'm just joking. That was a joke.
Exactly. But, you know, at the same time, I didn't feel, you know, I mean, I felt like similar feelings, but not the disgust, I guess, towards her.
So that's so fascinating. So was there another time that you were like, wait, I actually like this person,
You know,
like them?
I think like throughout the years, and when I was in high school, and this all came, when I realized what I was, and
Mhm.
I couldn't. I was so scared to share, and once I graduated and I went to college and I met my husband. And I mean, let me just throw this out there. This guy is my soulmate. He is the person that I'm supposed to be with. I believe that there are certain people who are destined to be together. And my husband and I, it hasn't been like, a perfect marriage or anything like that.
Nobody's
But
marriage is.
exactly. But he's the one person I think in this world that can fully tolerate all of my quirks. you
Mhm.
know but there's been little crushes throughout the years, and I only told him about this about 8 years ago. So we
Oh,
were already married and we'd had a couple of children by this point when I had a
how
breast
long were
cancer
you
diagnosis.
married?
We've been married 19 years, so we'd been
Okay,
married.
so 19 years. So then
Yes,
you told him about
about
10,
8 years
11
ago.
years in.
And I'd had a breast cancer diagnosis, and
Oh, I'm sorry.
so we were kind of dealing with that. And I
Yeah.
guess the whole thought of being bisexual didn't seem quite as scary as the cancer thing. And so I spoke with him, and it was funny because when I told him, he already kind of knew. I
Really?
think that when you live with someone for so long, you pick up on those little things. And
Did
so
he say how he knew?
there were a lot of things. Like we always used to joke that there was one of the things on my bucket list was to kiss a girl. And he's like, well,
Mm.
most 100% straight women don't have that on their bucket list. you know.
Yeah, because I don't.
You're right.
I have kissed a girl for my
uh-huh.
job, but
Uh-huh.
that's not on my bucket
Right.
list.
Right. Like it always kind of was. So I think that he saw the way I looked at certain people or relationships I had with certain friends, and kind of picked up on
Probably like your
all of that.
energy too. There's this energy that
Absolutely.
comes off of you, even when you don't know what's happening.
Definitely. And I think that he really understood that. But this summer, in particular, I met somebody, and
Mhm.
honestly, he saw the connection between her and I before I saw it. And he said, I'm a little bit nervous about this because I saw this. And I was like, no, 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 no.
Why was he nervous?
I think that, in the back of his head, he's always wondered, well, what if the right girl comes along? What's
And
going to
you'll leave
happen to
him.
us?
Right.
Exactly.
Mhm.
In our family and everything that we've spent 19 years creating. So I think
Yeah.
that made him really nervous. But this girl in particular, I think that she really, and 2020 has been weird for everybody. It's
Oh
been kind
yeah,
of a
dude.
rough year.
Let's not even go.
Right?
Let's just take it off the calendar.
Exactly,
Like
because it
get
should
rid of
just
this year.
exactly, it should have never existed. And we moved, and we had a pretty significant death in the family, and all of the stuff leading up to it. And
Mhm.
I think because of everything that was already going on in my life, I was more open to the idea of allowing myself to have feelings for her
Mhm.
than I'd ever had in the past before.
Well, I feel like, can I just say, with this 2020 year, I feel like a lot of everybody's not skeletons, but like, let's just call it the inauthentic ways of life are all coming to the surface. And it's
Absolutely.
like, you are looking at your mortality and
Yes.
right in your face. And you either have to lean into it and go
Mhm.
into the dark places of your psyche, or keep living blindly. Does that make
Absolutely.
sense?
It completely makes sense. And that's exactly where my head had been, this
Hmm.
whole year, is that, it's now or never. So let's make the best of it kind of a situation,
Right.
and she kind of fell into my life. We had just moved, and then we went under quarantine. And so I didn't know a lot of people down here.
Oh,
And
right. Because you just moved into the
we had,
neighborhood and all that.
yes,
Yeah.
we had just moved. And, I had spent some time on my knees praying for a friend, because I was lonely and there was so much
Yeah.
going on. And so when she came into my life, I felt like she was an answer to my prayer, honestly.
Can I just ask how she came into your life? What did
So I met her. She was working at a local amusement park.
Okay.
And she was a performer, and I just happened to see her perform one day. And I felt like a very instant connection with her,
Ooh.
even
Uh-huh.
from far away. I felt very connected to her.
Okay.
And so eventually, um, our paths crossed and we met. And I mean, the connection when we met was even stronger,
Was
which
it
is
like an
why.
instant, just like you guys known each other for years?
Absolutely. And the thing
Okay.
was, is we had so much in common. I mean, I was completely sure that she was this person I'd pray for,
Right.
you know.
So then what happened after that? So you guys are growing this friendship during this
Yes.
quarantine pandemic time.
Yes, exactly. And it was the first time that I ever really allowed myself to have feelings for her. And I knew that I had feelings for her. And I knew that it probably wasn't a mutual thing, you know.
Oh, because you
You
didn't
know,
feel it in return?
I didn't. I mean, well, okay, that's not true. I did it first, and
Mhm.
then a few weeks in, I felt like she'd kind of pulled away.
Pulled away. Oh,
Yeah.
she's one of those. I have to
Yes.
say, there's those people that come into your life where they when you meet them, they almost give you everything, like they're too
Yes.
open. And then when
Yes.
it gets too intimate for them, they pull back. And then you're
Exactly.
left thinking like, where did that go?
Exactly. And I kept wondering, well, what did I do? But I kept thinking to myself, well, it's okay because I'm not single, so if we can just be friends and I can keep her in my life that way, that's all I need.
Right.
But
Just like an acquaintance instead of
absolutely.
like a close best friend
Right, right. Like I just
with
wanted to
little
keep her in my
feelings.
life. Exactly. But the problem is because I was allowing myself to have these feelings,
Mhm.
it was almost as if I was in high school again. Like I had no
Oh.
idea how to behave.
Like you
You
didn't have
know?
any boundaries or
Exactly.
like you want to drive by and stalk kind of
Yeah,
situation?
like almost because I just like I mean, looking back, I did all sorts of stupid things in high school to capture the attention of a boy, and
Oh yeah,
so
we all did like
of
obsess,
course,
look at their like well now it's like look at Facebook or Instagram and
yes,
stalk and see what they're
yes.
doing and blah blah blah.
Exactly. And may I just say, I am so, so grateful that social media was not a thing when I was in high school.
Oh my God, can I say I
Yeah.
say that almost every day of my
Yes.
life.
I
I said
can't
if
even imagine the
could
damage I
you
would have done.
imagine?
Yeah.
I can't imagine what a crazy because you used to compare yourself to just, the people in your high school or in your
Right.
neighborhood. But now you compare yourself and get obsessed with people across the world.
Exactly. Exactly. Like
So
it's just
damaging.
so much. And there's so many more opportunities to connect with people.
But it's
I
not
mean,
real connection.
exactly, exactly. So I'm just so grateful that it wasn't around. But,
Oh my
the
God, me
harder
too.
that I pushed to build a relationship between the two of us, the more that she pulled away.
And I just have to say, that's happened to a girlfriend recently for me
Oh,
too.
really?
Yeah, where like she got so close to me, and then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. She just kept like not responding right
Hmm.
away, and then it got worse and worse. And I'm like, what happened? Did I
Right. You
do
almost feel like
something?
you're being ghosted and you don't have any idea why,
Yeah,
you
and I was
know?
like, did I do something? But I just
Right.
think some people get too intimate too quick, and then
Right.
they shut down.
Exactly. And that's where I kind of feel,
Mhm.
what happened is I think she almost caught herself and decided to pull back. And the more that I tried to find things that we had in common to try and keep her interested, the more that she would
Reconnect.
pull away. Yeah.
Ugh.
And finally, eventually, without any warning, she pulled away completely and quit communication altogether.
Ugh, how does that feel?
It was heartbreaking at first
Yeah.
because I had invested so much in this one friendship, and it's not like she would talk to me about it.
It's not like
She
she
just
called and said,
stopped.
"Listen, it's too much for me. Like, I need
Exactly.
to like take a break from our friendship.
Right.
You've kind of made me uncomfortable."
Right. And I
Like
would have completely pulled
communication.
back. Exactly.
Yeah.
She never communicated. In fact, I asked her once, I said, "Am I bothering you?" And she said, "No, I'd tell you if you were bothering me."
And then she doesn't respond.
Exactly. And then she never did. She just blocked me completely. And so it was so confusing and heartbreaking. And, she's a little bit younger than I am. And so she would let her friends kind of get involved a little bit and speak for her. And that's something that really bothers me is allowing somebody to speak for you instead
Oh,
of
yeah.
just confronting the issue and
Right.
speaking for yourself, and so all of a sudden it felt like it was her and all of these 20-year-old cyber stalkers and me, on the
Did
other
did
end.
they did they reach out and say something to
They
you?
did. After the blog was released, I had a couple of people say, "This is totally wrong. You Well, in fact, one of them threatened, because I guess there was some things that were recorded and saved conversations. We're going to put this out, just, I mean, they really tried to get me to kind of retaliate everything I'd said, even though everything I said was the truth.
Right.
So
Right.
it was a little bit, and with everything else that had been going on and my own anxiety and depression and losing this family member, I mean, that was kind of the final blow that
Mhm.
really left me kind of spiraling out of control for a little while.
Do you just feel so depleted
I
and
did.
alone and
Yes,
abandoned?
I was completely, and I was feeling so overwhelmed already with the distance education and my husband working from home. And, she was kind of my safe zone. And to not
Well, she
have
was also
that.
sounded like the way, not like fantasy, but there's something about like it took you out of your reality in
Yes,
everyday life.
completely. She and I are in two very different parts of our lives.
Mhm.
And sometimes when you're drowning in what's happening in your own life, that other life looks a lot more appealing.
Oh, yeah. You
you
just
know
want to like totally disconnect and go into fantasy world.
exactly. And
That's
all of a
why I
sudden I
say
didn't have that.
yeah, and I say a lot of people are addicted to fantasy and intrigue because
Absolutely.
it makes us not stay in our reality when it's boring or stressful and all
Right.
that stuff.
Right. Exactly.
So she ghosted you. Her friends harassed you.
Uh-huh.
So what was that bottom and how did you share that with your husband?
um so after this whole, after it all started and she quit communication and her
Mhm.
friends started kind of butting in, I finally went to my husband and I said, you know what? I think that I need help
Ooh.
because I can't, I am so devastated by this that I don't feel like I can function. And that's something that's wrong with me.
Mhm.
If I can let this young woman destroy me so quickly, there's something wrong. And so together he and I sat down and we came up with a plan. He works in the mental health field,
Mhm.
which is definitely an advantage, for me. And so we called a crisis hotline through his job, and they were able to set me up with a counselor who has really helped me kind of walk through everything, walk through her abandoning me, walk through the secret that I've been holding of the bisexuality. And that has been probably the best thing that could have ever happened.
Oh, no, it is. I always
hmm
tell people my bottom and my, talking to a therapist twice a week and all,
hmm
that was a turning point for my life.
Completely. Just
It's
having somebody like unbiased to
yeah.
listen to you is huge.
It's like a massage for your soul
Oh,
every time it
absolutely.
happens.
Definitely. Like I just walked away from those appointments feeling better. And it was funny because my therapist has told me several times, he's like, you know what? You were one of the most mentally sound people I've ever helped, and it's just so nice to not think that you're crazy,
Yeah.
you know?
But here's the thing, that's the thing, fantasy and not living your truth can
Mhm.
spin a sane person insane.
Completely. And that was the thing that was so frustrating is that I looked nuts to this girl, you
Yeah,
know?
you look like a stalker a little
Exactly.
bit.
Exactly. And I was never, ever that way.
Yeah.
It
No,
was,
even with that friend I told you, like I kept reaching out
uh-huh.
to her and reaching out to her. And it's like by the fourth text, I'm like, what am I doing? I am
Exactly.
acting insane. Like she obviously doesn't want to talk to you. Why are you
Right.
trying to make this unavailable person be your friend?
Exactly, exactly. And when they do that, I think that it becomes more of an obsession because
Yeah.
all these other people who are more inviting,
You don't care about. You're like,
exactly.
I want the person that doesn't want me to love
Exactly.
me.
Exactly. So,
It's
and in the end, I looked
insane.
crazy, and it's so funny because I have so many good people in my life, so many supportive, understanding friends and family. But when it came right down to it, like you said, all I wanted was this one person.
Yeah. And I think that's what's so beautiful and why I loved your blog,
hmm
that you were willing to show that side of you, that ugly side of you that
Uh-huh.
not many people are embarrassed to reveal.
Right.
And I totally recognize those same feelings, but you on top of it had the attraction quality.
Right. And that just made it, I mean, you add into that emotional thing
Yeah.
again, where you're so emotionally invested because you're attracted. So it was, yeah, it got, it got crazy quickly.
Well, here, I will always love to ask these
Uh-huh.
kind of secrets, especially secrets we hide from ourselves. And you
Uh-huh.
have held this for many years. So,
Most of my life.
yeah, so I like to attach them to the seven deadly sins, not in the religious sense, more in the character defect. So
Right.
here they are. Let me know if any of them ring true for you. So we
Okay.
have pride, greed, lust, gluttony, envy, anger, and sloth.
I would say that it would probably be a mixture of pride and lust
Why?
because, and even more, I think that sometimes when you're ashamed of who you are, it is a little bit, you don't want your ego to get
Yeah.
hurt,
Yeah.
and that can kind of touch on the pride aspect a little bit. And then, when I looked at her, I mean, maybe not completely at first, but yeah, it was a lust situation. I'm completely
Yeah.
you
You're,
know,
you're married.
yes. And honestly, for the most part, pretty happily married, and so I definitely probably a lot more of that lust factor where I saw somebody and I allowed myself to be in a feel that way.
Yeah.
And, yeah, which was probably not a good thing for me because of the not single thing.
But here's the thing. I feel like a lot of people are probably doing what you're doing right now.
Oh, of course.
They're
Yes.
at home with their husband or their wives. They get on Instagram and they like see someone and they DM them hi. So
Uh-huh.
anybody can get pulled into this trap that you're
Completely.
talking about. But here's the
Right.
other thing. The word envy keeps sticking out in my head.
Okay.
And I don't know, does anything ring true there? I don't know why I keep thinking about
Well,
that
you know
word.
what? Maybe you're right because I think that for a long time I did envy those people who could be honest, who didn't
Really?
care what people thought, but was
Right.
more interested in being true to themselves. So, I can totally see that because I envied those people
Who could
for a
say
long
like,
time.
this is who I am, like
Yeah.
me or not like me.
Exactly. And they weren't afraid of, the retaliation or anything. They were happy being who they are. And so, yeah, I mean, I could totally see that. I could see the envy factor.
Well, I think also the envy one's hitting me for me because you mentioned twice that she was like younger and 20 and like her friends
Yes.
and living in a different time period than
Yes,
you.
definitely.
Was there any way like that kind of like you wanted to go back and
Oh,
relive that age?
definitely. And the thing is when I was her age, I was already married, so
Mm,
I didn't really have that age.
right.
I got married really young. We were in college. I didn't really even have like the cold college experience because I was living in married student housing at the time. And so, I never really experienced anywhere where she's at.
What age did you get married?
I got married when I was 19.
Oh, geez, no wonder.
Yeah.
I mean, I waited till my late 30s, so I
Right.
have but
It's so funny. I think I was in this mentality that I was like, you know what? I can do what I want, and this is what I want, and I'm going to do it. And my parents were completely freaked out by it, but at that point, there wasn't anything they could do. And I mean, luckily, it lasted, but.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. I've known a lot of people who've done that who it hasn't lasted. So,
yeah, me too.
I guess when you find them, you find them.
So keeping this secret from yourself, the bisexuality,
Mm-hmm.
finding this female attractive, then going after her and then her withdrawing. Who do you think this situation benefited and who has it harmed?
I think it really harmed my family, especially my children. I think that they were looking at this very much from the outside.
Okay.
Like one time, just last week, my 5-year-old said to me, "Mommy, are you having a sad day?" And I was like, "Oh, that's heartbreaking that my 5-year-old even has to worry about that,
Yeah.
but she broke my heart and I had a lot of sad days because of it. So I think in that range, I think it really hurt my children. But turning around and looking at it differently, I think it really helped my husband and I.
Interesting. Why?
I think that it really helped us not only bond over the situation, but learn to count on each other.
Mm.
And it was funny because bless my husband's heart, another person broke my heart and he was still there to pick up the pieces.
Yeah.
And for me, that was kind of eye-opening, that he would still stick around.
Around through like the worst of the worst.
Exactly. And still want to be with me.
Yeah,
So,
my husband's in the same boat. Like he stuck around through the worst withdrawal I've ever had. Like
right. And that's so important in a relationship, is to know that the person you're with has your back no matter what.
Yeah. Where they could see their ugliness and your flaws and
Yes.
still love you and care about you.
Yes, and still be there. And he was the one that had to go through my bedroom and bathroom every night looking for razors because I was cutting. I mean, he really stepped up to the plate and backed me up on this. So, it really, I think, advantaged in our relationship and showed me that deciding to be with him was the right decision.
Right.
But I really wish that my children hadn't had to have witnessed all of it.
Well, can I go back to you saying you were cutting? Were you cutting
Yes.
at that time to like relieve the pain?
Most definitely. I was cutting a little bit before that because I was just so stressed out with social distancing and, the distance learning with the children. And,
The world
there was
falling
so
apart.
much, yes, exactly. Like so much uncertainty that I was kind of cutting. And I've done this for years where it's kind of an emotional release,
Right.
but the cutting picked up to almost a dangerous level after what happened with this girl.
Like how many times were you cutting a day then?
Several times a day.
Wow.
And there were a couple times where I realized I cut too deep. And that's a scary thing too, is when you've cut deep and then you have to really think, and the mortality thing pops up again. Do I really want this? Or, what do I need to do? And he really stepped up, and he would not only would search my room and my bathroom, but he would search me, to make sure that I was staying on track as well.
Can I ask you another personal question? You don't have
Absolutely.
to answer it if you don't want.
Okay.
But where do you choose to cut yourself?
Usually I do wrists or ankles. I usually it's wrists or ankles. I've cut like upper arm or anything like that, but with wrists or ankles, and you can't always see the scarring.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense? Like I wear bracelets. I wear an Apple Watch. Usually I have socks on, so I feel like I'm being less judged by the scarring.
Right.
If I cut in those places, as opposed to things that, other people might be able to see.
And now that you've been talking about this and you've been blogging about it and you and your husband are closer, do you feel like that cutting and pressure has released?
I do. I don't feel the need to do it anymore. And I've also seen the impact of what my cutting did on my family.
Right.
And I don't wish to do that to them anymore. But emotionally and physically myself, I don't at this point feel the need to do that anymore.
Yeah, I'm so glad because it's like it's a spiral you can go down. Just like you could go down like overeating. It's just like a self-sabotaging thing.
Exactly. And that, and it kind of goes into that whole self-mutilation thing where you do those things just to get the release from it.
But I also think you do those things because there's so much worthlessness inside that you almost want to like show it on the outside.
Yes. And honestly, like the blood flow was very therapeutic. Like I loved seeing the blood flow because it was such a release, and in fact, I used to donate blood, at the Red Cross and stuff. And I had to stop for the same reason because I loved seeing the blood flow.
That's so fascinating. Yeah. I've never heard that. And I interviewed someone else that was a cutter and they did not say that. So it's
really?
Yeah, everybody has their different things.
I guess so. There was something about watching that blood freely flow that was very therapeutic.
Yeah, I think that I have the thing like with tattoos. I have like 13 tattoos.
Okay.
They're all white. And whenever I go through something emotional and I get on the other side of it, I love to go get a tattoo. And it's like feeling that pain.
Yes. In fact, I got one this summer. And it was definitely kind of the same thing. Like it's almost a good pain.
Yeah. It like hurts so much, but you're like, it's like a release of what was.
And then you end up with this pretty picture.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you're not cutting now. I'm glad that you've worked through that and gotten to your authentic self.
Yes, definitely.
But here's my big question for you, Amy.
Okay. Okay.
How are you going to move forward in the future?
So I've thought a lot about this actually. And for me, being honest about my sexuality is the way I want to go. I don't think that right now, at this point in my life, my priority is taking care of my children and helping out my husband. And I have no intention on ruining that. But I also want to be honest with myself, and be open with people about who I really am. And say 20 years down the road, what if my husband and I are not together for one reason or another?
Right.
The going down the woman trail, it would definitely be something that I would consider at that point, and I think that being open and honest with people right now is going to be a lot easier than 20 years down the road when I say, oh, by the way, I'm going to date girls now, and so
Let me just say on my side, being open and honest is just easier in general. Whenever it
Absolutely.
is 20 years, like I love that you're voicing, like I just have to be who I am because I
Yes.
can't hide in this secret anymore.
Right. And I hate having to be two different people,
Mhm.
like I'm one person to certain people and then I'm one person to other people, where I just want to be who I am. And that's it from now on. I want to be happy and comfortable with me, and the people who are happy and comfortable with that can stick around, and the people who aren't don't need to anymore.
Bravo. I'm clapping for you because that's
Thank
great.
you.
I am so grateful for you. I'm so grateful that you came on the show and you
Thank
shared your
you.
truth with us, honestly.
Well, I'm so grateful for you letting me come on the show.
Well, thank you. And if you want to be on the show, please email me at secretlifepodcast@icloud.com. Until next time. Thanks again for listening to the show. Please subscribe, rate, share, or send me a note at secretlifepodcast.com. And if you like to check out my book, head over to secretlifenovel.com or Amazon to pick up a copy for yourself or someone you love. Thanks again. See you soon.